Alright, sorry about that. Hey guys, sorry about the delay. One of my cats actually got up there and knocked around with Pierre's hat, so my bad. So hey, welcome to the Games Tavern Happy Hour. I am Mac. I am going to be your host for this evening, and always a good time. So tonight is going to be a fun one. We have some really interesting news that we're going to be covering, and I'm just glad to have you all along. So one of the, before we get going, I do want to thank Tabletop Audio. We work with them we use a lot of their music for our live streams, for our Games Tavern Happy Hour show, and it's great stuff. You were listening to it earlier. I believe that was Tavern Music. Tavern Music 3, I believe, was one, but there's a whole bunch of them. You can go and support them yourselves. They have a Patreon page, but it's all free to use. So if you want to use it in your home games, you can just go to tabletopaudio.com, join up with their stuff, and just use it. You can download it up so you don't have to worry about latency or any of that, and get it going. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get rolling into the news. So the first thing that I want to talk about today is something that is sort of near and dear to my heart as coming from sort of the Wargamer school of thought, or school of learning, is Reaper Minis is actually having a whole lot of sales, or new things coming up for sale for October. And I'm just going to touch on a couple of these things here, but if you haven't used Reaper Mini stuff, or you probably have used Reaper Mini stuff, if you're not using Nullzors, they're kind of the biggest thing in the fantasy world at the moment. And they're also been around for quite a while, so they have some really classic sculpts in there. Because they are coming up in October, there's going to be some really interesting new sort of spooky sculpts coming out. My favorite one is the Headless Footman, which is just a foot soldier without a head, as opposed to the Headless Horseman. Kind of cool stuff. But they also have some graveyard final skulls, orbs, mystics, hearing an echo. All right, one second, guys. Let's see if I can do anything about that. Sorry, I'm playing with a new mic nowadays and trying to get it all to work. Let's see if... How about now? How's that sounding? Not much of one. I just pulled out my big old wool blanket and put it behind the mic. Maybe that'll help. So yeah, let me pay attention to the to the chat. Okay, yeah, seems fine. 4 seems nice enough even now. Cool, I'm loving it, guys. So yeah, if you haven't been to Reaper's Minis stuff before, they have some very, very good sculpts. A few years back, they started doing the Bones line of what they were. What it basically was they took a lot of their old metal sculpts and started using a new plastic to fill them in and make them a little more user-friendly. Because metal minis are kind of a old vestige of 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Plastic's a lot easier to play with, a lot easier to work with, and a lot easier to transport. So they have a whole lot of new Bones stuff coming out. Now they're actually on the Bones Black line, which has some really nice stuff in there. I can go ahead and just drop you their website overall. All right, cool. Sounds like we are good to go there on the sound. So yeah, the Bones Black line is some really nice stuff. I know I have some complaints about some of the original Bones, but they've fixed it with Bones Black. And some of the stuff that they have coming out are ghouls and gas. Like, it's a lot of great stuff for Halloween. A Mummy Sand King, a Vampire Bloodlord, if you want any of that. So basically really, really awesome minis. And they do have some new metals coming out that they're in their Dark Haven Legacy line. So they're pulling them out of the old vault, brushing them off, and sending them back out again. And one of the best things about Strahd, yes, we're going to have a whole lot of fun Strahd stuff. If you're going to be doing anything with the new release coming out in less than a month, you need some vampire minis. But one of the things that they do is Reaper is really, really good with their community. They have a whole lot of great customer support projects. And in October, they're doing something called a Ghoulie Bag, which is going to be a free miniature. It's like a Ghost King poured in a clear blue resin, or I think they're calling it plastic, but it's a clear blue mini that you don't even have to paint. You can just, put that on the table, and it's cool, it's spooky. And it also includes some free paints in there. They're saying it's Hallowed Orange and Brains Pink. So just in time for Halloween, you can get some really cool stuff coming out from Reaper Mini. And I know that out there in the chat, and even in our own Corey for the Velkin Weave, does a lot of painting with Reaper stuff. They do some really great models out there for tabletop wargaming or for just tabletop RPGs. They have the full bestiary. Everything you want, you can put it in there and make it go. So check them out, guys. The next thing that I think is probably going to be get some people out there excited. If you ever played the Borderlands video game, they are actually coming out. They were in Borderlands 2, I believe. I was not a huge player in there, but I dabbled around in it a little bit. There is going to be in Borderlands 2. There was a sort of a joke video game that was mentioned in the game itself. One of the characters that was taking control, and sort of, I think they were a bad guy or a semi-bad guy, blurred lines in that area, a whole big shade of gray there, had something called, what were they calling it? It was the Bunkers and Badasses. So it's a sort of a weird in-joke RPG kind of thing. It was Tiny Tina's the one who was running it. She was the potential antagonist I was speaking of. And it has a really cool thing. Now, one of the things that if you've ever hung out with me and dug around in my library there and out there, one of the things I really, really love are in-universe artifacts. So last episode, I talked about the Vecna's Hand and Vecna's Eye. We've talked about the Great Plaques and all that stuff that you can get, just things that feel like they're from a fantasy world. This game is going to have a lot of annotations in the side that are like Tiny Tina's annotations about the rules or about whatever the page is talking about. So it's some cool in-universe artifact stuff, which I think that's a really neat thing to do. Now, as Corey's getting at there, it was part of a DLC for it. And what it's going to have on the actual, in the game, it's going to have a print version of the Borderlands 2 downloadable content that started it all. So you're going to get some content in there that is Tiny Tina's assault on Dragon Keep. It's personally annotated by Tiny Tina herself, so there you go, friends. Yeah, like Xanathar's Guide in his notes, or like in Mordenkainen's. So all of that, I love that kind of stuff where it's like, ooh, hey, here's some notes on some things here. I like books that feel like they fell out of the universe that we're looking them in. And this is going to be playing in the worlds of Borderlands, so it's not a Borderlands take on Dungeons & Dragons. It is instead a game that they would play running around in there, and basically Borderlands tabletop RPG. So it should be really cool. If you enjoy, it looks like actually people in the chat are interested in that one. So yeah, if you like Borderlands, if you like that kind of shoot 'em up party style gameplay, this might be a thing to check out. It's going to be some really nice stuff. Let's see, there's some people in the chat. All right, Lost Polymath, all right. Hey, welcome. Veritas23, or Veritas23. Haven't seen you in there for a while, so it's good to see you out there again. And I think that's, of course, we have, the Ardent. Pleasure to see you out there, man. And Big Bearded Nerd. Hey, man, I haven't seen you before out there. I'm really excited. This is cool. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today. Now, one of the things, and this is going to take a second because I am, of course, trying to figure out how to make all this work with... here we go. All right, so one of the things that just dropped, or that they just told everybody about today, is a new free dice set for Icewind Dale in Dungeons & Dragons, or D&D Beyond. So it's absolutely free. I'm going to include a link in there in a second. But they are Icewind Dale commemorative dice. We'll go ahead and throw that in there. Boom. All right, check it out. They're blue, they're sparkly, and they're absolutely free. So as you can see, with I can only roll 29 on 3D20, so I am not the greatest thing out there. But if you've ever, if you enjoy playing with D&D Beyond at all, here we go. They have fun noises and stuff. I know last time I showed off the dice that were for the subscriber pack, where all the subscribers got free dice there. I'm going to turn that off. There we go. So everybody got the free the dice for the potion dice, which I thought were really cool, and them throwing out free dice just for clicking on the link. That is fun. I really do enjoy the cool things that D&D Beyond is throwing out at for the people. All right, I just realized I'm behind on a... So here is the D&D Beyond. Just go to that tweet. It has a link immediately to a place to affiliate it with your account. So if you have a D&D Beyond account, you can get cool free dice. And then, because I didn't drop the Tiny Tina's Bunkers and Badasses, here we go. Boom. There we go. So there's some two great things in there, guys. I know the community's kind of split on whether or not digital dice are a worthwhile thing, whether or not to play with them or go with physical dice. I personally do kind of prefer the physical dice, but having the ability to roll digital dice and not worry about your cat batting your D20 under the table, or having to have 45 D6 when you just happen to up level your fireball, it's really nice to just be able to roll a pile of digital dice and make it go. What is everyone drinking tonight? I'm drinking La Croix because I'm fancy and having a headache. So hey. But yeah, so check those out. If there's anything, unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot of D&D Beyond dev updates. They're still working on, it looks like for the next couple months, they're going to be working on a lot of stuff for Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. That's going to be a huge update, guys. So please look forward to that. Or look, because they're going to be doing a lot of stuff there. It doesn't look like there's going to be a whole lot of updates really before that. Maybe they'll finally get that random encounter builder that they've been teasing us for a couple months out. But otherwise, it's the main stuff looks like it is going to be Tasha's. That's going to be the next big drop that they do. What do we got? What are the odds of a cat batting your dice under something? I don't know. You'd have to ask around the community. If you've ever had a cat bat something, bat your dice away. Yeah, let me know. That's I know a couple people have had it. Warrior Streak would wager high. So a couple other stuff. It's been a while since we've actually looked at this. But periodically I like doing what we're calling a Kickstarter roundup, which I realize I need to get an appropriate piece of art for right there for that. But it's digging into some of the really cool things that Kickstarter is doing. I really like a lot of the smaller programs, a lot of the smaller cool things that you're not going to see Wizards of the Coast running out and pushing out there. So one of them is, I know that Rob has been talking about this one with me for a while. It's Scion Demigod. It is interesting. Basically, Scion, for anybody who's not aware, this is the second edition of Scion. It takes place in kind of a modern fantasy world where it's today, and the main draw there is that the gods, the ancient powers, the Eldritch ones, the Zeuses, the various pantheons didn't actually go away. They were real and they're still around, and the players actually act as sort of the gods' children or descendants, and have that kind. They're calling them scions, I believe is the term. So they have a lot of interesting magic and technology kind of mixes going on there. So it is kind of a really cool game. Demigod is their third expansion, and what this one's going to be doing is it ups the power level for the players, so it brings them up to the next tier. I believe this will probably be tier 3 or 4 if you're going on D&D terms, but it ups them one more level up, lets them continue on with their adventuring paths and see what really cool stuff goes on there. Now this is going to be a pretty quick turnaround on this one. The Kickstarter itself is only running from now until Thursday, so you got a couple days left to dive in there and see if you want to be digging around in a new game. And if you haven't played any other Scion games, you can in the actual pledge manager, you'll be able to add on the extra rulebooks and everything, so you can just get a whole package dropping and start playing as soon as you get it all. So if you're interested in that, let me know. If you're here we go. We got the Ardent saying Demigod is where you get the big powers and start challenging the big shakers. Yeah, it's gonna let you get up there and actually start living up to your godly lineage, which is gonna be pretty cool. I'm excited to see what kind of thing that's going on there. I'm always kind of interested in the non-traditional, I love sword and sorcery. I love running around in those worlds, but sometimes seeing what somebody can do in a different setting is really cool. In that vein, something I'm super excited about is, here we go, it's Terrors and Tommy Guns. It is, it's by Drinking Horn Games. So they've done another game. It was Saga. Goodness, what was it? It was Sagas of Midgard. There we go. So they did that one a while ago, and their big thing that Drinking Horn Games, Saga of Midgard. There we go. The big thing that they do is their focus is on huge cinematic games that feel cool and you do something neat and It's a lot more collaborative storytelling and a lot less worrying about the actual worrying about character sheets too much and worrying about moving numbers around on a sheet. There is still some of that. You do still have core stats that you need to be paying attention to. But one of the things that I really like about them is that they are focusing more on the cinematic and the storytelling side of things. Sagas of Midgard was focused more on, as the name can suggest, Viking era lore or the Norse gods or Viking stuff. It's cool stuff. But the next one that's here is Terrors and Tommy Guns is going to be focusing on cosmic horror in the 1920s in a fictional city. It looks like it's a cool companion to, or a cool alternative, I guess, to Call of Cthulhu, or any of that other kind of eldritch stuff that goes on there. So if you're interested in that, the eldritch horror, the cosmic horror that's coming out, check this out. It's looks like a really cool game. Some of the art style that they have up on the Kickstarter is really nice stuff. Viking fans and cosmic horror fans, this is surprisingly broad cross section. Yeah, I would bet that. It's I know a couple friends on both of them, or a couple friends who watch and sort of love both of those things. Like, yeah, I can see that. They're two really cool genres, and I'm just excited to see what a small shop is going to do with pulp horror, because it's a lot more intimate. The idea of, hey, there's three of your friends and they're going to go and have their brains, completely rattled by seeing something spooky in a basement in Boston. Okay, cool. I like that. That's really neat. That's a different building or different kind of gameplay than what you get with Dungeons and Dragons. So anything that sort of helps you to play in a different world like that is really cool. I like that. So check out Terrors and Tommy Guns. It's It's pretty much the same. Yeah, it has some really cool art styles. If you've seen a lot of the sort of the pulp art style that comes out from that, it's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be guys in fedoras and people, ladies in flapper dresses, and horrible tentacle monsters coming out to ruin everybody's brains. So it's a good time. Hello, my little friend pulls out Cthulhu-style tentacle rod. Big Jazz. Yeah, Big Jazz is going to be important on this one too. So if there are any of these that you guys are interested in, sound off in the chat. I'm more than happy to dig into those a little bit more. And I dropped that one in there. There we go. Nope, wrong one. Okay, anyway, moving on. So those are the two games that I really want to talk about. There have been a couple other ones that have been dropping out there. A bunch of like 5th edition, people who aren't clearly backseat driving. A bunch of 5th edition editions that have been coming out. Just to go down a couple of them, don't have a whole lot of a whole lot of digging in on these, just because a lot of these are smaller companies. But some of them are, there's one that looks like it's going to be helpful with actually being able to, or they're claiming it's going to be helping us to incorporate your own stuff into your own homebrews into a more set setting. They're calling it Black Storm Realms. It's an RPG setting that's come up on Kickstarter now, it looks like. And hang on 1 second. And it's an interesting one. It has introducing at least 3 new realms that existed in a galaxy known as the Celestial Tree. You can create your own backstories and realms, and it allows you mechanics to move between the realms, kind of in a sort of a Norse mythology kind of way of moving around. Different planets and realms and stuff like that. So here is there we go. So here's the link for Black Storm Realms. Check it out if you really like that kind. If you really like that kind of being able to incorporate your own worlds into more established settings. Having something with the Black Storm Realms, or have Black Storm Realms, looks like it will actually be able to help you to sort of smooth that in. That's a cool kind of thing. I don't know a whole lot about the publisher. That's not something I don't really know a lot about what they've put out there. Jetpack 7 is a new one to me, so I can't say whether or not their stuff is going to be great or not, but it looks interesting. The ability to just talk about multiplanar stuff is always a fun time. Now, one of the things that I always like to try and do on the Kickstarter roundups is talking about not necessarily gaming modules or other events that are coming out, but especially because there's a lot of them out there. You can go to Dungeon Masters Guild, or you can go to here and just dig around and see what's coming up. But also talk about interesting and fun gaming peripheries. And one that caught my eye this week. Here we go. Come on. There we go. D20 Class Pins. You see a lot of this art. Oh, excuse me. A lot of this art flying around right now, where people are coming up with cool things to do for Dungeons and Dragons. Sometimes it's patches. Sometimes it's little keychains. This one is D20 Class Pins. They look like they're about lapel pin size, maybe a little bit bigger, and they have a whole bunch of really cool just pins. So you can choose your class. You can one of them's for Dungeon Master, but they have for all classes up there. There's 14, so these are only 10, and then you can't see my hand. Number 11 up there, and there's also Artificer, and I believe Monk didn't make that the cut up there. But they're really cool. As you can see, the art style is really fun. They're not too expensive. It's about $9 for a single pin. BRB buying some pins. Yeah, so they're fun. If you like interesting things, or if you're going to conventions, pins are always a really fun time. I know, like Penny Arcade Expos, especially PAX Unplugged, they have pins everywhere. So being able to show off your kind of nerd cred, what it is that you do, what it is that you enjoy doing, as a tangible hard piece of metal, it is worth checking out. I'm probably going to pick up a couple of those just because they're kind of cool. I like them. And if you're thinking that you also need some cool nerdy lapel pin kind of things in your own life, you let me know in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like Dire Rabbit's into it. Light of the Moon Gaming is into it. The art of Mr. Smithwick better get in there. I mean, there's plenty of pins to go around. There's no rush. Yeah, so that's some cool stuff in there. Check that. Check out the D20 Class Pins, just because neat swag that you can wear is fun. You're into it, but you're broke. Oh no, that's too it's too bad there. So the last major thing I want to talk about for he can't stop me from buying more pins. Uh-oh, Corey. So the last thing I want to talk about for the Kickstarter roundup is a Judges Guild reprint, effectively, that's coming out from Goodman Games. I love Goodman Games. They're the brains behind what's going on? They're the brains behind the Dungeon Crawl Classic system, which I love. They also are the guys who are making up all of these old school revival modules and fantastic, great books. I've talked about those before at length, so I won't. I won't go into those unless people want to know more about those. But the Judges Guild stuff right here is kind of special. What they have going on here is it is a collection of stuff. This is the second release that they've done of this. They did a previous one. They're publishing a whole bunch of stuff by Janelle Jacques, and I'm probably butchering her name. So my apologies for that. But they were doing a lot of stuff in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. If you're not familiar with it, it's kind of a DM's Guild kind of thing that they had going on, but back in the TSR days of Dungeons and Dragons. So what they're doing is they're finding a bunch of old stuff that Janelle wrote up. They're scanning it, digitally restoring it to make sure it's actually going to be a high quality product, and then they're going to end up reprinting it and sending it out in like a big old box or a big old oversized pamphlet, so that you can have a lot of really cool stuff. It's going to be coming out about newspaper size. It's a big project there. It is a little on the expensive side for cool revival stuff. It's $125 to get you in the door, but it is saving you off retail, and it allows you to experience some really cool old school stuff. Did I get that in there? I didn't. So I highly recommend at least checking this out if you're as big into the old school stuff as I am. It's always a fun time to see what they're talking about with when it comes to what Goodman Games wants to bring forward. Because as I've mentioned more than enough times, the revivals and the reprints for 5th edition that they've done from just old school modules are always really, really cool. They're well balanced, they're well written, they port them up really nicely. and overall just know what they're doing. It's clearly labor of love over there at the Goodman Games team. Let's see, nice bugbear back. Correction, owlbear. Yes, it is in fact an owlbear. I don't know anyone can be into old school as much as you may be. No, I'm not. I am not sponsored by Goodman Games. I'm just a fan. But yeah, check them out. Maybe one day we will get sponsored by them. Who knows? But if there's any Kickstarter projects out there that you guys want to talk about, or you want more information about, or you think that we should tell our community about, let us know. We're always into hearing from the fans, especially when it comes to things we can put onto our shows here. So you can always join us at our Discord there. It's always a fun time. We're always having great conversations. And if you're like, hey, my friend is doing this Kickstarter, I think it's a really cool product. They're making interesting dice, or they're making other cool tchotchkes for Dungeons and Dragons. As you can tell, I like weird things that you can just buy. I recommended getting the Hand of Vecna. I have a weird skeleton man, Pierre, hanging out behind me. Yes, there is another D&D group forming up in our Discord right now, too. We always have a lot of gaming going on. I think I'm running 2 games, something like that. I don't know, maybe. If you want to learn how to play, we have Learn to Play games going on. If you want to just sit down and talk nerdy stuff, we're always down for that. In fact, I think this weekend we started playing Among Us with people on the Discord. It's kind of out of our wheelhouse. It is technically it's a video game, which not quite what we do all the time, but it's a fun time to sit down, relax, and yell at people and lose friends. So Among Us was so fun. It is such a good time. We have our own dedicated channel for that, so if you want to play in, we can do it with voice chat. Makes the game a lot more fun. Am I missing anything that's going on at the Discord? I don't think so. Talk nerdy to me. Yeah, so we're always having interesting conversations going on in there. So let us know what's up. Right now we have some people that are showing off some dice that they're making, which is really cool. But also, one of the things that we'd like to do, we've done Jackbox before. Talking to Mac is so yes, okay, I'm very suspect apparently. One of the things that we have done is we finished it up just recently. We did The Heist. It was a collaborative effort between a bunch of different streams and some of the players here on the Games Tavern. And that went really well. It was a 3-shot of players went in and were supposed to go and steal some weird, spooky artifact from somebody very important, and it turns out things went kind of sideways. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Please go check that out, video on demand. It took a weird twist, and I'm super excited about that. But I can go ahead and tease this a little bit now. We're going to be running a Call of Cthulhu 3-parter for the month of October. We figured we want to do something kind of spooky for October, so I'm stepping up and going to be running a 3-parter for Call of Cthulhu, where some stalwart investigators are going to be digging around in a small town in Massachusetts and figuring out why somebody went insane, and things are going to probably go well for them, I'm sure, and they'll figure it out and they'll leave and it'll be a good time. Was that the one shot that turned into a 3-shot? No, that was the one shot that turned into a 3-shot, I believe, was the Tomb of Horrors, and that turned into like a 4 or 5-parter, and we're just like, okay, this is fun. It went a lot longer than we were expecting. No, the heist was it was always planned for a 3-shot. Jacob ran it wonderfully, and then we also had some friends over from Paradise RPG, and then our very own Reed and Anna, because people wouldn't die in that. So they were there and they had a great time. It was a really interesting thing. We had them on interviews for the past couple of weeks, and I'm hoping we're going to be able to have some more, if Call of Cthulhu 1 goes well, hopefully we can have some more fun collaborative efforts and bring more people in from the community, because we always love talking to you guys and playing with you all. It's kind of what it is that we do. Let's see. Don't have a whole lot of show notes for you guys here today. Currently it was a busy week already, and having a lot of I'm super excited to go to bed early tonight. But last thing I wanted to close out with is just letting you know that, again, with the Discord, we're having a whole lot of really, really cool conversations out there. A whole lot of really fun stuff that's happening. If you ever want to join in with what it is that we have going on, you want to enjoy playing some games, doing some pickup, or just talking, talk nerdy to me, as I think Light of the Moon was saying. We'd love to have you guys on there. It's always a good time. And sorry that it's not quite as long today. It's been, like I said, it's been a little bit hectic. Yeah, there's lots and lots of memes out there. I believe it's Veritas in the chat there is the one who's dropping mountains of them. He's goes around and he normally gets, I don't know, 3 to half a dozen at any given day. Coming in through. Okay, sorry, just looking at tech stuff. So yeah, if there's anything else out there that Mr. Smithwick's going to show you how to make dice. A lot of really fun stuff going out there right now. He has some really interesting ones where he has some dried plant pieces in them that I'm very excited to see how those are going to be coming out. So check those out. And otherwise, if there's anything else you guys want to have or want to talk about, if there's any projects out there that you are excited to see, or you want to let us know about, sound off in the chat. We can go a little bit more into this. But this is, like I said, it's a shorter episode today. Just got piles of stuff to take care of in the real world. Like cats knocking off Pierre's hat again, which is just stupid cats. Yeah, they did come out really cool. Corey's dice, it's supposed to be like, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but it's like plant pieces floating in kind of murky water, and it looks really nice. I'm excited to see what they're going to look like when they're done. But otherwise, let's see, I think I didn't miss anything in the chat, Albert. Yeah, no, I think that will do it. Piles of cats, can't wait to get them sanded and polished. Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in again. Sorry for the shorter episode. I don't want to, hold anybody too much longer here. And if you guys, he's gonna finish it. It's gonna be good. If you guys want to join us, please hit us up on the Discord. We'd love to have some more conversations with you. Normally, we have a second half here, but this week we're just taking it easy. So everybody, please enjoy your evenings. Have a good night, and I will hopefully see you guys on the Discord. Again, big thank you to Tabletop Audio. Tomorrow night, I just realized I need to go into this before I do my full outro. Tomorrow night, we do have a new DM over at the Velkin Weave. It's Mr. Grant Ellis. So he's going to be playing again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Last week, it went really well. I was very excited to see what the Velkin Weave was doing. I highly recommend you all check them out too. Grant's brings a lot of energy to the table, and having talked to a couple of the players afterwards, it sounded like everybody had a really good time. I know watching it, I had a good time checking out. So I recommend you guys check it out too. We're hearing "it was rad," which is absolutely the kind of cool hip lingo that you can expect from the Games Tavern. And then on Thursday, we're going to be having the Whiskey Magic and Destruction. That's going to have me. Reed is DMing. Rob, who's the Ardent here, is also going to be there. And then we're going to have the two ladies, Anna and Prim, are both going to be joining us with Joe, who's the newest member of the team, but he's been there for a while, and I clearly have this scripted out. Sorry about that. So we're all having a great time running around in the Underdark and having a good time there. What am I doing? Oh, yeah, you'll be there. You'll be there. Otherwise, the next time we'll see you guys next week on the Games Tavern Happy Hour. Again, sorry, it's been a busy day. And I look forward to seeing you guys around. Thunderdark. Yes, Thunderdark is a good enough way to end this. All right, everybody, thanks again for tuning in. You all have a great night.